Good morning and welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside while the show is live. And if you would like to join the debate, there is a link in the info box below this video. With your watch page muted, simply click on that link and you can join the show, for the time being at least, to express your views on the shape of the Earth entirely unopposed. There are only a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number one, please do not swear. If you do, you will be promptly ejected. The only second rule is if you are ejected for swearing, please do not return to that show. You will be warmly welcome back on the next show. With that, I'm going to transition across to the photographs and share the link to the show on Facebook, Skype and Twitter. If you're currently in the live audience, I would encourage you to do the same. And with that, I'll say one last time, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. So I've just done sharing the show on Facebook, Skype and Twitter. As I say, if you are in the live audience, I would encourage you to do the same. Please share the show on Facebook, Skype, Twitter and any other social media platforms that you have at your disposal. That would be greatly appreciated. There is also the opportunity to share the join link in this show. So below the video itself in the info box, there is a link to join the show. Feel free to share that with anybody you like to encourage them to get on the show to debate the shape of the Earth. I'll go through my links and then I'll transition back to the photographs. Hopefully we'll have someone join us in the not too distant future. So if you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the live show, and if you would like to join the debate, click on the link in the info box below the video. There is only a couple of rules in the Hangout. Firstly, please do not swear. If you do, you'll be asked to stop and then you will be promptly ejected. If you are ejected, you'll be asked to not return to that show, but only return on the next show where you will be warmly welcomed. Other than that, I'm going to transition back to the photographs and say subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Suppose I could do a few shout outs, couldn't I? See if there's anybody there. Nichio Snows, good morning all. Good morning to you too. Sean G, what's up party people? Not much at the moment. But if you were to join, you could express your views and that's what would be up. So Agent Detective says good morning Nathan. Good morning to you too. Pleasure to have you here. Good morning to you too, Dazza. Good to have you here. Thanks for being here. Very good morning to Mr. Grimvy and Chess. Good to have you both here. Hello and good morning to you, JJ. Good to see you. Inglorious Bastard, good to have you here. Thanks for being here. Big hello to Globe Thrusters and Captain Bullshit. Good to have you both here.
There you go. I'm live.
Hello. Who are you? How are you doing?
Hello. All right, thank you.
What's your name?
My name's Richard Bailey.
Very pleased to meet you, Richard.
And how are you, Nathan?
I'm very well.
Good. And the daughter?
How are you? Hello. Yeah, not bad. So, have you come to state your rhetoric?
In what way?
Well, what are
In
your views
regards
on
to
the
flat
shape of the
Earth,
Earth?
obviously.
What are your views on the shape of the Earth?
Well, my views on the shape, I'm not really sure what the shape of the Earth is. Um, I mean, I've been sort of collating information both from the mainstream and from the alternative media. And I personally concluded I don't know what the shape of the Earth is. What I do think is if you accept the fact that the Earth, in theory, is a globe, and it looks like a globe because of the water volume, which makes it look, in theory, spherical. And then you take all the water away, you kind of end up with a kind of, I don't know, a giant sort of asteroid, a series of land masses, if you want. And then and that then leads to the problem of gravity, which, if you've got this sort of hodgepodge, this non-spherical plane, if you want, or um, body, celestial body, and the gravity is a uniformed force, and the planet shape itself isn't spherical, then you've got problems with gravity, because then you've got variations in gravity fields depending on where you are and depending on how gravity's pulling everything toward it. So for me, I'm not really sure what the shape is of the Earth, but I don't think it's spherical like we're led to believe it is.
We've been joined by Madman. Say hello, Madman.
Hello.
Hello, good to have you here.
What's up, bro?
Not a lot. I'll leave you two to it. I'm going to go turn off my camera and leave you two to talk about the shape of the Earth.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, man. I'm more interested in like what made you actually want to get on a panel today, bro, to actually talk about the shape of the Earth? Like, what was it that made you think,
Well, I guess really it's more. I've never believed everything I've been told by the mainstream, and in the last sort of 15 years, I've been approached by people that have been telling me about, conspiracies, NASA, all that sort of thing, 9/11, and at one point you kind of brush it all off and you think, no, it just can't be right. It can't happen. That, it's just not possible.
No, don't touch it, please.
You could have these people, these very few, these elites, if you want to call them that, that could have such power and domination over us, over the mass, over 7.5 billion people, and it seems that over 90% of us are totally oblivious to this world that we live in. This reality, if you want to call it that we live in. So
it's been that way. It's been that even when they thought the Earth was flat back in those days, right?
Yeah.
Still the elites, and that still level of control was still there. It was just done a different way.
Well, I mean, if you go right back in history, and I mean, for thousands and thousands of years, everybody believed the world was flat, and it wasn't until a Greek scientist had an assumption that the Earth was round, and he
Yeah,
conducted it.
absolutely, absolutely, right. I
And
mean,
and the thing there is that in itself is a problem, because we all basically we all believe the environment that we grow up in, and even this Greek scientist must have at some point believed the environment he grew up in, but suddenly for some reason he just decided that the Earth wasn't flat at all; it was round.
yeah,
And
absolutely, bro.
you know,
I understand your point 100%, but I mean, I don't think you answered my question.
right?
The question I asked you was, today, like, I don't know if you have. Again, I'm not too versed in the flat Earth,
Yeah.
but I've never seen your face, and I never really heard your voice either.
Mm.
So, what I'm wondering is like, what made you today say, you know what? I really believe this, and I really want to stand up for myself and talk about it. What was it?
Well, I've sort of been building up to it. I mean, I do follow Nathan's channel and other flat Earth channels, and I find there are a lot of people out there that need to just air what they feel, and for me, it's a bit like it's almost overwhelming, to be frank, that I need to talk about it, because most of the people I do talk to about it just don't want to know. you know, they're very polite, but they look at you like you've just gone and pissed in their garden, sort of thing.
I can only imagine, bro. You know what, bro? I can imagine that in England, people will be a lot more receptive to it than people in
Yeah,
America.
I think that most people aren't receptive to it wherever you are, because they are, for want of a better word, they're in the matrix. They believe it.
Well,
And
in England, everybody loves a good conspiracy in England. In England, right? That's what that's life, right?
yeah,
Everybody
yeah, yeah,
loves a good conspiracy, right?
yeah,
I mean, Diana died. Everyone's like, oh, something happened.
yeah,
It's just
yeah.
it's the English way of life is conspiracy. People like that. It's,
Well,
it's part
I
of it.
don't think
Even in it's not. What's funny is in England, a lot of that conspiracy type of talk actually makes it a mainstream news.
that's
So,
right.
yeah.
That's right. And even the mainstream news don't really. I don't think they understand what they're projecting, or what they're imparting to the masses. They're just reading a script. They don't really understand that themselves. They themselves are so locked into the system that they can't see beyond it. That's where they are. And when you just look at their mannerisms when they're reading the news, like, do they ever take a breath? This poker face that they give you, I hope the whole personas are, they're so out of context. How can people, purvey a news article, without so much as batting an eyelid, really, as if it's just, I've just, it's like they're chewing on a boiled sweet or something, it just don't.
Well, so say for example, right? Say if we do, I said Princess Diana, right? So let's just roll on that, right? Like when she died, I remember, half the news stations were like, "What the fuck happened? She died."
Yeah.
And the news station was like, "What the fuck? Did somebody kill her? Was it the guy she was dating? Was it because the royal family didn't want her to have a kid with the guy she was dating, and that type of stuff?" That was, there's only 5 channels in England, 5 major channels.
Yeah.
And it was all over it. Conspiracy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't happen in the States, right? Conspiracies here are just shut down. Nobody talks about it.
I personally accept the fact that there is one conspiracy, and that is the total control of the human race by what people want to call the political elite, in whatever form it is. and that's what I think is the deal. And if you accept that's the deal, and effectively you're a slave to the system. I'm still a slave to the system. I'm still governed by it. However much I disagree with it, I'm still governed by the system.
So,
but
like,
for me, I'm just aware that I'm basically being manipulated.
What do you think? What do you think would happen if you found out the truth? Like, how would it change? If you found out the truth,
I have found out the truth. It's very traumatic when you realise, when the penny drops. You know, it's a very traumatic experience.
Do you think it's kind of gradual?
It took me months.
People, you think that's what's up? Like, you think the governments are allowing this conversation to even happen, so that the conversation can go out slowly?
It doesn't matter whether this conversation happens or not, or whether other conversations happened or not. It's irrelevant. They don't give a crap, because at the end of the day, they still control you. It's irrelevant. You know, you can air your opinion as much as you like, but it ain't going to change the fact that you are being manipulated and you are being controlled. The only way you can be truly free is to accept that, and to change the way you think about what's happening in the world today. That's the only way you can get any resolution.
And I totally agree that we are being manipulated to some extent, right? But what I feel is that like, it's a general human way of life where once you get lied to once, you believe everything's a lie, right? Like, say for example, I'm your best friend, right? And I lied to you about someone I went out and I was hanging out with some other people, and I didn't tell you about that, right? But you found out I was hanging out with them, and you found out I said some crap, and all this shit happened, right? Yeah. Now, all of a sudden, you're gonna lose your trust within me, and then anything I say is gonna look like a lie to you.
Well, the thing is, in any relationship, there is a measure of trust. Okay, and any time you have a relationship, then trust is at stake. Now, if you want to go off and you want to say something about me, I really don't care. It really don't matter to me. I mean, I've been following, like I say, these posts and these transmissions, and only last week there was some woman having a go at Antonio Sabirats, you know, and I'm thinking, well, we're already digressing now from what we're all trying to resolve, which is the flat earth, into some kind of pissing contest, which we don't really need. What we need to do is think about what is happening in the world, why it's happening, and how do you get 90% of the population to wake up to it without basically telling them that they're walking around with their eyes wide shut. And if you can change because it's all about, I mean, everything's about perception, isn't it? Everything's about perception. So if you change people's perception on what is happening, why it's
Nathan, are you still here?
And everything follows on from that. It has to express itself that way. So we live in a society of divide and rule and all that sort of thing, all the negative things. But if you can change your level of consciousness, if you can change the way you think about it and change it from divide and rule and fear and survival to peace, okay, and we all start acting peacefully and considerately towards one another, and maybe the expression of flat earth doesn't really matter, and the way we treat each other does. Because that's all it comes down to at the end of the day. How do we treat each other?
I think what you're trying to say is what really matters is finding trust within the people around you and the government that you live within.
Can you say that again?
Not just the civilization you live within. Finding peace within that and finding trust within that.
Finding peace within civilization. I mean, there's an expression that there is no road to peace you know, peace is the path. You know, that there ain't no. You can have all the wars you like, it won't lead to peace. The only thing that leads to peace is peace. So if you're peaceful and you're considerate and you're decent, and we're all doing that, all 7.4 billion of us, right? Then peace must express itself. It must, because we as a race, as a civilization, make the world happen.
Yeah, definitely. There's nothing else that can.
Somehow, and they make everything happen. So if you change the way that those 7.5 million minds work to a peaceful consciousness, and that's where everything happens in the mind, because everything else is an expression of the mind out, then peace must express itself. So why we live in a world of divide and rule, then that's the expression of it. That's what's going to happen. That's how it's going to carry on. So the way we think has to change. And that's the thing with the flat earth. The flat earth is really an expression of people trying to answer really questions they already know. But then they've got to actually fulfill that, they've actually got to accept the fact that there is only one way to go, and that's peacefully. You see, and because of that, you don't really want to go there.
Do you really believe within yourself that it's the flat earth causing these problems, or that? Do you really think that's a problem within society, which doesn't get fixed by the shape of the planet? It gets fixed by how we treat each other and how we live with each other.
You're breaking up a little bit, Madman. Your connection's breaking up, Madman, just so you know.
It's about a more personal way that we live with each other. It seems like you're more concerned about that, the shape of the earth. And
well, the thing is,
there's a lot of people that they move to the flat earth society because, or it's not society, my bad. Nobody likes that term. The flat earth community, because it's a family, if you want, that feels the same way. Whereas in reality, what people are looking for is peace.
Yes. People want peace, but to get peace, to get real peace and unity, you've got to give everything up. You've got to give up all your beliefs about science and politics and all that and all these.
I can't hear you, bro.
Sorry. You need
I don't know if anyone else can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can't.
Oh. Okay. I'll move the thing forward then. So is that better?
It's Madman's end, not yours. It's not your issue. It's Madman's. He's just got a low bandwidth, I think.
Oh, okay. Where was I? I lost my train of thought now. Such as it is. Yeah. So basically, we've got to become peaceful, and to become peaceful, you've got to give everything up. All that we think we know is just something that's been programmed into us, and we've got to give it all up. We've got to find a way to give it all up to have a peaceful society worldwide. Everybody, religion's got to go, science, all that. If we're all peaceful, and I know it's a big if. In fact, it's astronomical if you want to use a word. You've got to be. Everyone has to become peaceful, and of course, there's benefits that if everybody's peaceful, then you don't need armed forces, you don't need police, you don't need lawyers. Of course, you're still going to need doctors and nurses, assuming that they can also adapt their knowledge in terms of stop just throwing people pills and actually address the actual illnesses they have, because there is really only one illness, and that's disharmony, which expresses itself in and in a multitude of
for
ways.
some reason I couldn't hear.
Oh. I think it's your bandwidth, apparently. But society has to change. I think we're on a precipice right now. And there ended the talk for today. You back or?
Yeah, I think we're having some technical difficulties from Madman. His connection's lost. He may come back, but you feel free to carry on.
Oh right. Yeah. So I suppose what Madman was trying to get at is the world flat? Well, I don't know. I don't really know if it really matters if the world's flat. I suppose the crux to it all is why do so many people believe that?
For some reason,
the shape of it, and how do you get people like or organisations like NASA and the space community or spaceflight community to actually do something simple like take a photograph, say 1,000 miles out from the Earth, and simply, relay it to everybody. So then everybody knows, if nothing else, even from 1,000 miles out, the Earth looks round. But you could still have a flat, round plane, and from 1,000 miles out, it would still look round. In theory, if it is, or we could end up with a photograph 1,000 miles out of a plane that's on 4 pillars, and you've got a guardian angel at each of the 4 pillars, So it's I don't know just really how important the shape of the Earth is. It's, I think, what we do on it that's important. And yeah, that's for me the bottom line. What we do with.
I think your mic's working now, Madman. It's popping and stuff as you're tapping it, so I think we can hear you okay. And we've also been joined by Curved Water. Thank you for being here, Curved.
Hello, just trying to get my mic set. All right, good. Thanks.
Well, while you're doing that, I'll give a quick show plug if you guys don't mind, just while Curved Water sorts his microphone out.
Oh, I'm good, but go ahead.
Get my camera on. If you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the main show, and if you would like to join the debate live, there is a link in the info box below this video. Simply mute the watch page you are currently watching before you click on that link, and you are free to express your views and debate the shape of the Earth right now. That's it. That's my link done.
Nice.
Okay.
So, Richard, you were just proposing or asking why NASA doesn't give us a picture of the Earth from, say, 1,000 miles up, showing that it's round. And then what did you follow that up with?
A photograph.
No, no, I meant in.
Yeah, and then simply transmit the picture of whatever the shape of the Earth is.
Okay, and then you went on to make the point.
Yeah.
That it wouldn't mean anything, right?
Okay.
Right? Didn't you? Yeah, because it could be a flat plane too.
Yeah, that's right.
So do you see the problem with what you just did there?
Yeah.
Okay.
But you'd have to see, it'd have to show something, wouldn't it? If you're 1,000 miles out into space and you can take a photograph of whatever the Earth is, one way or the other, you know, civilization would know what kind of shape the Earth is or is not. What's the point? I mean, we all want to know what the shape of the Earth is. There's only one way to find out, and that's to actually go up and take a picture, just a picture.
No, not really.
Well, it's been done, and you reject all of that, and that's not the only way. So what's the point? What's your point specifically?
About what?
Pictures of the Earth from space.
Well,
but you won't accept them because they don't fit into what you want the Earth to look like. Because you need to believe that somebody is lying to us about this. The shape of the Earth, hundreds, thousands of years before NASA.
Well, you know, with respect, for thousands of years, people believed the Earth was flat, and then some freak scientist decided he had a inspiration, or he came up with the idea that the Earth may be round, and then he conducted an experiment, and then
nobody came up.
Then 1,500 years later, like Copernicus, he decided he wanted to reinforce that belief, and for the last 500 years, we've been led to believe that the Earth is round.
Sorry to interrupt. We've been joined by Mr. Grimm. Good to have you here, Grimm.
Thank you for the warm welcome, Nathan.
That the Earth is spherical, and
Copernicus. Did you say that?
Based on an assumption.
Copernicus didn't do anything about the Earth being a sphere or flat.
Well, what did he do?
Orbits.
He taught kung fu.
Well, he obviously taught it very well then.
Why do you think Copernicus was concerned with the shape of the Earth?
I don't know if he was, but for some reason he needed.
Then why did you imply that? Why did you assert that?
I'm not asserting it. I'm just saying that he had the idea. He was another, I don't know, believer that he had again this notion that the Earth was round.
He's a heliocentrist, man. It's hard to get these arguments straight, isn't it?
It is hard to get them straight because all our arguments are based on things that we've read, things that we've been told, and
I don't read Sunset.
Very few people have actually been in a position to actually observe, in theory, what the shape of the Earth is. And that's a fact. I mean, what we're talking about, a couple of 100 astronauts, and in theory, 12 of them walked on the moon.
No, if you realize how when you take your measurements from, like, let's say 40-something kilometers away, and you're viewing a tower, and you can see that only the tops of the towers, I mean, the bottoms of the towers are hidden from your view, and you can do this from any direction over water. That shows that this all of the angles in any direction that you do this curve in the same amount of degrees per 69 miles, 1 degree per 69 miles in all directions. Therefore, it's a sphere. There's no way to get around that. It's not crazy, wacky, triangular. It's not flat. It's not anything else. You have to know that it's a sphere.
I just want to point this out, Grim. Sorry to interrupt you, Grim. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you. You've completely ignored his point and made a completely new point which you've attacked, which is the curvature on the ground. So he's just pointed out to you that nobody's observing the Earth. He went on to qualify that by saying a few hundred astronauts, maybe, and you've completely ignored that. So just to get it on the record, has anybody on the panel observed Earth in its entirety? Has anybody done that here?
Has anyone ever taken a picture of the flat Earth in its entirety? No.
But you can't observe a sphere in its entirety from one location.
That's true too.
So if you can't observe a sphere
In its entirety.
Flatten its entirety.
Yeah, you
Get it
can't
right.
on one side of the sphere see both sides of the sphere, unless you have a mirror ball, a mirror on the back of, behind you, behind the sphere. I mean, you see what he's trying to say? It's basically there. Plus, the more of the farther away from the sphere you get, the more of the sphere you can actually see. That's up until a certain point. Until you're finally at the 180 degrees, of vision.
Yeah, but I don't think we still really, grasp what he actually asked us.
Well, it's an artifact.
It's
an artifact. But why I said that is because it's an artifact that it looks like an illusion to people. That's why they go, well, why is the USA so much bigger in this picture of the map than in this picture? And and blah 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 of the globe, right? Or this picture of the globe, which they're not.
Yeah, but that's still not really answering what he asked us. I mean, he's basically just saying, "Has any been on the?"
Because it's a vacuous question. It really, it's loaded.
I understand that. I understand
what he's correlation argument. If we never even went to space, we can still prove that the Earth is round. So his question is vacuous to me.
Well, he's basically asking is this, right? He's saying, "Have you seen a globe? Have you seen a spherical Earth with your own eyes?" That's what he's asking.
It's not an easy achievement.
I know it's not. But that's
people have never seen a great white shark with their own eyes. But does that mean it doesn't exist?
All right, dude. I'm not a flat earther, but what I'm trying to say is let's stay on point.
Well, no, I'm trying to keep the conversation as reasonable.
There's 3 flat earthers on this panel, right? And like if we all just gang up on him and just like
count.
I mean, gang up, I ain't bothered. It doesn't matter.
No, we all seem friendly enough here.
I personally don't care what the shape of the Earth is. I couldn't care less.
Right.
You think we do?
No, I don't suppose you do. That's fine with me. I'm not bothered.
What we're talking about is fighting against this claim that we're lied to.
Yeah,
well, we are lied to.
That's the
we are
issue.
lied to.
Not about the shape of the Earth, son.
Well, we are lied about the shape of the Earth because even you've got people like Neil deGrasse Tyson, who's actually stated that he's not really sure about the shape of the Earth. We believe that it was originally a globe, and then because it spins, it becomes an oblique spheroid.
Could you
and then don't twist his words. Don't twist his words.
Something up real quick. The moon is also an oblate spheroid.
Don't twist his words.
They think an oblate spheroid means that it's like some sort of a crazy wacky shape because the word is crazy and wacky to them. It's an alien word.
I'm saying
it just means that the poles are flattened out a little bit, right? To each other.
What science promo guy, right, is promoting 3 models, so even he doesn't know what the shape of the Earth is.
What are you talking about? Clarify, please.
He doesn't speak for everyone, right? You can see that.
Come on, Richard.
The moon is an oblate spheroid as well. It's literally classified as an oblate spheroid, but you can't see the wacky shape of the moon, can you? So why do you think
we can.
The Earth being an oblate spheroid is so much crazier?
You've just said that his argument's vacuous, and his argument is that we can't see the entirety of the Earth, and your counter argument is that but we can see the entirety of the moon. That's pretty vacuous.
My counter argument is the moon is also an oblate spheroid, so that don't expect the Earth to be such a wacky shape just because the word is alien.
If I stand in a forest, I just got to get this point in. Sorry. If I stand in a forest and I look around me and everything is a tree, and I can study those trees and their shape, does that make me a tree?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. End of that conversation. Just because we can look at something spherical doesn't mean we're spherical. It's as vacuous as you saying, well, just because we can't look at us being spherical doesn't mean we aren't. They're the same argument.
No, what I'm saying is he's using the word oblate as meaning that the Earth must be some wacky shape instead of just a little tiny bit off of circle, you know, off of perfect.
It's not. It can't be. It can't be.
That's all I'm doing is pointing out a misrepresentation.
Hey, Grim, let Richard make his point here and clarify it so that it can be destroyed.
Certainly.
Basically, what Neil was trying to say is this, right? Look, an orange looks round to us, but it's not really round. Like if somebody asks you, what's the shape of an orange? You're going to say it's round. But what he's basically trying to tell, what he was basically trying to say is, yeah, it's round, it looks round, but deep down, it's not round. It's slightly changed. You can't observe that with your eyes, but it's not an exact circle. It's pear-shaped at the microscopic level. If you look at
exactly
a picture that's the size of something we can actually visualize, then it's pear-shaped.
And when he says pear-shaped, you don't mean skinny at the top like a pear. He just means bulged out at the equators, right?
No. Okay, Richard, if you listen to the actual interview, listen to what he says, not what a bunch of lying morons have said to you about it,
or
you will understand what was said.
I saw the interview, and he gave.
Then you have no excuse.
One way of asking you this question is this, right? When you look at an orange, is it round?
Not really, is it?
No, but if you was to how would you describe it though? If somebody asks you, okay, yeah, okay, yeah, exactly, it's not round. But if somebody asks you, if it's an orange, you're going to be it's round.
If it's spinning, if the Earth is spinning, you've got centrifugal forces in play, which are pulling everything out towards, I don't know, the equator, for instance. So you can't have a globe because it's spinning. And not only that,
the whole pear shape has been taken way out of concept, man.
I don't know what a shape is.
It's been taken out of concept, like in astronomical ways, in ways that it actually makes flat earthers look stupid.
How come we can see over the hump? It's like it's oblate. It doesn't mean there's a big ass fucking hump over the equator.
No swearing, please.
Oh yeah, forgot about that. Thank you.
But I mean, seriously, it's like if you look at an orange, right, and someone asks you what shape is that, you're gonna be like, it's round, right? And then somebody asks you, okay, now really look at the orange. Is it really round? And you may be like, no, hold on, it's not really round. It's a little bit fatter at the bottom, a little bit pear-shaped at the bottom. Does that mean it looks like a pear? No. It just means it's a little bit fatter at the bottom. But to a level where you still call it round.
With a pear.
What?
About it. I mean, you got your three models. You got your globe, you got your oblique spheroid, and you got your pear-shaped. Because
all the same thing.
That's an absolute lie.
The globe is
the
oblate.
Globe is an oblate spheroid, slightly oblate, sir. Slightly.
Oblate is
Can we move off the pear shape? Can we move off the pear shape?
Yeah, they're all synonymous
this
with
knucklehead's just not going to give in. He's not going to listen to the truth. He's not going to listen to what.
I think all four of us on the panel agree that the Earth is pear shaped. I think all of us agree that the Earth is pear shaped. So let's leave it at that.
No, we don't.
Well, if you want to have a quick look at the watch page, so sorry to interrupt you guys, just so you know what's going on screen for the audience. So what I've brought up on the watch page now is what this point started with, which I've forgotten your name already, my friend, but you said that what the Earth looks like without water. So I've now got some depictions of exactly that up on screen, so you can have a look and go from there.
That's not exactly correct either, Nathan.
Oh, sorry, go on. You feel free to correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, read what it has to say about the geoid and what it is that they're depicting. And I believe that some of those things, they even say that they're exaggerated, don't they? Or are you just looking at pictures? Or are we reading any of the information?
No, I'm just bringing up the pictures that he brought up. It's not for me to argue his point, but he brought up these pictures, so I'm showing them.
Show me.
Okay, those are not pictures of the Earth, Nathan.
Well made. Good point.
That's funny, because are there any pictures of the Earth?
Yes, there are. Yes, there are, and they don't look like that. Those are not intended to be an actual depiction of what the Earth looks like visually.
Right, we've already established that none of us can get that, though, can we? So
what it actually looks like.
We have pictures of the Earth.
Did you take them?
Don't accept them.
Did you take them?
Not CGI images, that is. I mean,
I don't have to take them. That's a pitiful.
No, we can't.
argument.
We've established this. We can't take them. We aren't in a position. That's the whole point of this debate. That's why we're having this debate.
It. Because you know that we, private citizens, can't go supply you with this. So that's why you make this the crux of your argument.
Yeah, well, we would argue that we're living in a deception, and that's the reason we can't go.
That's like saying there's not another way to get to Chicago other than the one train that you want to take.
Yeah, but I could very easily just go and find another way and do it, couldn't I?
There's no point debating.
We can't easily find another way for us individually to go to space and give you the photograph that you want, that you already have, that you deny.
What?
That's the problem.
What the hell was that? What was that?
Dude, you made it too
Are you
complex
that
there,
daft?
Curved.
What?
I think you made it too complex there. You went into two different directions to end up at the same point, which was perfectly followable. But I think you lost Richard.
Well, he's easily lost.
That's what I was trying to say.
He can't even understand what Neil deGrasse Tyson was saying in that interview about the Earth being slightly pear-shaped.
Okay, hold up.
Yeah, a little bit chubbier south of the equator.
Hold up. Hey, Curved. Now you're getting now you're that's not cool what you're talking about right now.
What?
So I lost you too. So can you rephrase it? Can you re-say it so that in a way where maybe Richard could understand, or even in a way where I could understand?
I doubt it.
Well,
he just re-editorialized what happened. I mean, basically. Maybe
I've not re-edited anything. I saw that interview, and he came up with 3 distinct models of what he thinks the Earth is.
He did not.
I mean, he was actually talking about the Earth spinning. It was like kind of like a pizza, or when you spin a pizza, it starts to stretch out, and it's more like an oblique spheroid, and then you've got the gravity thing going on, and that kind of makes it a little pear-shaped. So even he doesn't really know. He's just kind of forming a picture in his mind of what he thinks is going on.
To give you an example of centrifugal force, which would be spinning a pizza around, would be giving you an example of centrifugal force. Right?
Guys, seriously, guys. Listen, look. All of you guys are on a tangent now, which doesn't need to happen, right?
No, it's easily
seriously. No. Here's the deal. Fuck the shape, right?
I think they're misrepresenting.
Whether it's slightly pear-shaped, or whether it's an extreme pear-shape.
No swearing, please.
It's not flat.
No swearing.
That's not the point of the argument.
Okay, but no, the point of the argument is.
It's not an argument. It's supposed to be a debate. It's not an argument.
Is it flat or is it curved?
Argument is part of a debate, sir.
Even if the Earth is an extreme pear shape, that's very different to it being flat. Very different.
Yeah, I understand your point. You're like, keep it simple. The argument is that it's not flat. We don't even have to prove what color it is.
Richard is putting forth things that Tyson did not say. He is coming up with false conclusions that he is asserting about what was said in that interview.
And
the 3 distinct models.
He's just saying that's how he looks at it. That's how he sees it.
No, the problem is how you see what he said. You have comprehension issues, sir.
Can I wrap this up, because I know exactly what Neil deGrasse Tyson said and what context it was in, and to a degree you're both right, but he qualified this at the end, and it's the bit that every single flat earther leaves out. He essentially, yes, he said it could be a bit chubbier at the bottom. He did go into it being like a pizza dough being spun and the centrifugal forces. However, at the end, he said If it was to the scale of a bowling ball, you could run your hands over the spherical Earth in the heliocentric model. I had that qualifier myself. And it would be perfectly a perfect sphere if it was the scale of like a bowling ball. So what he's basically saying is the Earth is perfectly round. He added that qualifier, but at the absolute nano stupidly small level, he's saying it is an oblate spheroid in literal terms. But overall, if you were to take it and scale it down, it would be perfectly spherical according to Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Thank you, Nathan. That's exactly why I point out the moon being also an oblate spheroid. That way they understand that oblate doesn't mean a wacky shape. It just means you can't tell with your naked eye, but it's misshapen.
Well, another simple thing you can look at the difference between the polar diameter or circumference and the equatorial diameter and circumference. There's only a few miles difference.
Yeah.
So stop with all of this crazy pair stuff.
Miles over how many miles? Again, just like Nathan said,
1,000 miles.
Very small percentage.
It's immeasurable. It's unperceivable.
Not with your eye, yeah, exactly.
With your eye, you're not going to notice it. If you look at a photograph, people have taken and measured and counted the pixels and stuff, and there is a slight difference. There is a slight bulge. It's slight. It's very slight. These people cannot.
My point is this: even if it was a straight up pen, who cares?
Sorry, I've got to check you on this though, Curved, because you've just said you wouldn't be able to see it, but it's imperceivable. So you've got this presuppositional argument that it's a sphere, and that if we were to look at it, we couldn't perceive it. We've already established none of us are looking at it. Yeah, but none of us are. You're saying this though. I've got to get this in, Curved. You're saying you couldn't see it with the eye. None of us are looking at Earth with our eyes. None of it. We've already established that.
I'm talking about at the picture, at pictures, at photographs.
Good point, Nathan.
You don't notice it with your eyes. You don't just say, "Whoa."
Well, you've just told me to toss out the photographs of Earth without water because they're not photographs, but now we're referring to photographs to establish this presupposition of yours.
Those are not even intended to show the true physical shape of it. The geoid thing is something that we're not going into it here. The geoid is not part of this discussion.
So you think then if we take away the water, if we were at the technology to get rid of all the water, you'd still end up with a perfectly spherical, rocky.
Well, but based on based on what Nathan exactly said was when he talked about when Neil deGrasse Tyson said you can run your hand above the sphere of the Earth. Anything was also talking about the oceans, the ridges within the oceans, the mountains.
You're just talking about the shape of the
above
Earth.
the ocean.
Mountains or
no, hold on. You can go back and listen to what he said. The mountains and none of that stuff. You won't be able to feel a mountain. If you were to run your hand across the surface of the Earth, you're not going to feel the Himalayas.
If you shaped a bowling ball the exact shape of the Earth and held it in your hand, you wouldn't feel the difference.
Yeah, you won't feel the Himalayas.
If you put your hand over the Rocky Mountains and into the watery oceans, dude.
Yeah.
I think you're right, Madman. His point is that by scale, even if you had mountains and valleys scaled down on that bowling ball, you wouldn't be able to detect them.
Ground level, right? You're doing the ground level mean and average.
But now you see. Now here's the problem, though, is that now we've all talked about something, and there's now 4 of us on the panel that have talked about it, and we agree about it. But I'm not really sure if the one person asking the question agrees with what we all have to say.
Name the person.
Okay.
Richard.
Well, I don't even know where to go with it. I guess I'm more confused than ever.com.
Yeah, no, Richard, man. Here's the thing, right? And your question was answered in like 7 different ways. 7 different sentences. It wasn't
every answer is valid. Every answer is valid.
No, I didn't mean it that way. I just meant that we didn't give you a straight answer.
Well, how can you give a straight answer to the shape of the Earth? How can you? Unless you can see it from. I mean, I personally like to just see with my own eyes from a distance what the shape of the Earth is.
What distance?
I got the idea behind the whole argument. Is we think it's
spherical. I'm okay with it. If it's flat, I'm okay with it. Right? If it's shaped like a bloody banana, that's fine as well. I don't care.
Richard,
I
don't mean to pre-sup you, but can I see that this is what the problem is? When at first you hear that it's a sphere, but then you hear it's oblate and pear-shaped. So you're thinking that there's three different discrepancies there. When in fact, all of those things can all be one thing. Like just as a square can be a rectangle, but a rectangle cannot be a square, right? A sphere can be oblate.
All right, okay, then let's take your point of view. We have
pear-shaped
spinning celestial body, right? Which, from your point of view, is both a globe.
Your body?
Yeah, celestial body.
Oh, a celestial body. Okay.
Yeah, which is in theory what we are, right? This planet is a celestial body, right?
I thought you just said steel. I was thinking of the mechanics of that material. All right.
It's a celestial body that spins on its axis 23.6 degrees off the vertical. Okay. But at the same time,
I'm with you.
Because of the fact it's spinning, it's also a oblique spheroid, right?
Very minutely.
You've got the gravity thing, which, because of the gravity and the fact that it's spinning, it kind of makes it a bit more dumpy at the bottom and makes it kind of pear-shaped.
Or in the middle.
Well, yeah,
not
fine.
The bottom.
You know, if it's at the bottom,
just roll with it.
Southern hemisphere, as it were, and we've got this kind of pear shape. I'm trying to envisage now this globe that, you know, in three different models that's spinning 23 degrees off the vertical, and you got centripetal forces acting upon it, so it's being pulled out towards the equator, and then it's being sort of made dumpy at the bottom. So we got this kind of.
You got the wrong idea of what pear-shaped means.
Well, he's trying very hard to confuse himself.
Yeah, he is. I think it's a lot sillier than it even needs to be.
Okay,
hey, guys, can I say something real quick, Richard?
Hold up, hold up one
Richard,
second.
I'm going to go ahead and clear this up for you real quick. When he said pear-shaped, he just means that it bulges towards the equator. He didn't mean that it actually is dumpier at the bottom. These are words that you're injecting.
You see that there's an inherent problem there.
Okay, can we?
No, you're injecting those words, not.
Those are his exact words. The exact. Sorry, just got to get this in. The exact words that. Sorry to interrupt you guys. Sorry. The exact words that Neil deGrasse Tyson used were, "It's a little chubbier at the bottom." Those were his exact words.
Well, then who gives a shit about Neil deGrasse Tyson anyway? You know, that shit doesn't matter.
But okay, guys,
that's not what. That's exactly not what is being represented with any other data that ever exists on the planet.
Richard, you cannot get off this point. Is this your whole entire point of the Earth being flat? Is because somebody said it was pear-shaped? You must have another point. Can we move beyond that and agree to disagree about whether or not it's a pear shape or not?
Well,
can we move beyond that, please?
What I was going to get to was the fact that because of this thing with the slight bulbing at the bottom, and also the fact that you've got this celestial body spinning in space, right? And you've also got this idea of uniform gravity. You know, how is, you know, this idea that gravity is uniform and it's pulling everything toward it, one assumes evenly, as it were. You know, that the force of gravity is acting equally, you know, evenly all around this globe or whatever it is we're on. Okay, and then you've got
none of that means anything. None of that means anything about the shape of the Earth. Gravity theories also include the electromagnetic effect on the dipole of subatomic particles.
And hey, on that, regardless of the cause of the gravity,
right?
Everybody believes in gravity. End up.
It exists.
Whether you call it
space fabric, the fabric of space and time, or whether you call it dielectric acceleration.
Everybody agrees that things are pulled down towards the Earth.
Can I answer the question for him, please?
Heavier objects are going to weigh more. They're going to be pulled more, and they're going to cause buoyancy.
Am I yelling? I'm sorry about that.
Everybody agrees on that. Even the people that deny the word gravity.
No, but to answer the specific question you asked, right? If you look at what causes gravity, is the potential between two objects for their masses to pull each other, right? And it's a root that's multiplied by their masses divided by the square of the distance between the two masses, right? So if you look at the square between the distance of two masses and you compare it to the size of a spherical Earth, to the size of a mountain, you're talking about a 0.0001 difference. And then when you square it, it becomes even less. Which is why when you go on top of a mountain, it doesn't make a difference. If you go to the bottom of the ocean, it doesn't make a difference. If you take away the water pressure. And so when you talk about an oblique spheroid, the level of difference between that is about the size of Mount Everest. If you can't feel the difference of gravity when you're on the top of Mount Everest to the bottom of Mount Everest, you're not going to be able to feel the difference between the pear-shapedness of the Earth. Does that make any kind of sense to you, or are you too busy moving your camera around?
Oh, I was actually fitting the camera into the power port, so.
Well, basically, the answer is this, right? The answer is this.
I can see that.
The answer is basically this, right? The formula of gravity. If you ever looked at the formula of gravity, right? It's GMM, right? And the G is a constant over R squared.
Tangential to the surface.
And so when you look at the radius of the difference, if you was on the... Oh my God. Okay, I really don't feel like spending it again, dude. You shouldn't be moving your computer around. You should be listening to me.
Sorry about that.
What if he just doesn't be on camera with that? Don't look at him.
What if we talk about something that he can talk about?
Yeah, I think you might be. Keep it simple. Kiss.
Here's something. Richard was just again talking about going up in space, taking a look at the Earth, and then being like, okay, well, it's a sphere. However, earlier, he did mention the example of 1,000 miles up, seeing the curvature of the horizon around the field of view there, and then saying, oh, but it could be a flat plane too. So at what distance would you need to be, Richard, in order to conclude that, yes, it's a sphere, not just a circular portion of the flat plane? How far away do you need to get? And then let's talk about the practicality of us doing it.
You're keeping it simple.
I think what you'd have to do is you'd have to basically move out incrementally, wouldn't you? So
to what point?
Well, obviously from the surface of the Earth into orbit, and then you simply keep moving out until you see. Well, that's the. I don't know.
Richard, okay, let me refocus.
I'm next after you, man.
You can see the shape of the Earth.
Richard, but at what point would you be able to conclude positively that you're seeing the sphere rather than a circular portion of the plane? And this question is to you, and in your opinion, in your view, because you're the one that brought it up, that you could.
Yeah, right, and
so what I'm at.
You keep moving out, and you keep taking the image until you observably see what you think is the shape of the Earth, the entirety of, so there's nothing else around it. So whatever you're seeing, right, is in its entirety, and there's nothing else around it.
And at what point do you think?
If I suspend you above the ground, feet above the ground, I can see your shape, can't I?
But Richard, when do you get to make the positive conclusion that you're seeing a sphere rather than a circular portion of the plane? That is the point of my question.
When I can't see anything else.
When what?
When I can't see anything else.
Hey, Richard, here's a different question, right? Completely different, right?
Oh, of course. Yeah, let's just drop it.
Well, that's too complicated, man.
No, seriously, like, regardless of the shape of the Earth or anything like that, right? But Richard, like, before you got into flat Earth, right? Was you kind of upset with life and society and things?
Well,
that's at home.
Wow.
Was you upset with how society was treating you?
Yeah, I see where you're going with that.
Did you feel? Did you?
Yeah, I know you're going to start telling me I'm a manic depressive and all that, and because
no, that's fine. I'm a manic depressive myself, so
gullible, and I basically take on anything that's put in my face, and I don't think it's that, because the thing about it is, this information comes to me. I didn't want to go looking for it.
Yeah, but before you actually got into flat Earth, was you looking to feel part of something? Did you feel like you wasn't part of society?
It's not about being a part of society. It's about the truth. I mean, isn't that what we're supposedly trying to get at?
No, I know. I'm not talking about that. I mean, like right before you found flat Earth. Well,
yeah.
What was how like I'm just wondering what, like the consequence of getting to flat Earth, right? That's what interests me, right?
What happened? What set me on the flat Earth trail? You mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like right before you got onto the flat Earth trail, not what got you onto it.
It wasn't. It wasn't
before you.
It wasn't the flat Earth at all that led me onto that trail. It was the realization that an atom is largely made up of empty space.
Before you realize that, though, was you did you feel like you was a really good member of society, or did you feel a little bit outcasted?
Well, I've never really fitted in.
Yeah.
I mean, that isn't just because of before the flat Earth, but it's always been that way.
No, that's fine, dude. No one has to fit in. Yeah. Fitting in isn't. There's more people that don't fit in than that do fit in. That's the problem. I think in my mind, that's the problem. Is that there's more people that don't fit in than that do fit in, and the people that don't fit in look for an escape.
I see.
And there's different ways people. Right. You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah. So basically, if I put my red ruby slippers on, I tap hard enough, I'll come back to reality.
No, but you put your slippers on, and you was like, "I don't fit here. Can I go somewhere else?"
Yeah, that's not.
Your mind took you to somewhere where you can forget reality, and
I can't forget it. It's in my face every day. How can you forget it? I can't forget reality, and I can't ignore it.
Well, again, when I say reality, I actually meant society.
I mean, reality is a good question. What is it? What is reality? It's all what we think it is, isn't it? Reality is just
your perception of it is like that, but it is what it is.
Point of view. That's all it is. Reality, it's just an expression of what we think it is.
Yeah, and I mean, did you kind of feel like you was detached from society? From society, not reality, society.
I can't be detached from society because I'm a part of it.
The social norm? Was you detached from the social norm?
And define what normal is.
Was you normal?
Well, you tell me what normal is.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
Get back on the sunset.
You can tell me what normal is, I can give you an answer.
Was you
Do you
pear-shaped or
agree
was
that
you round?
objects that are close to you
think
look
normal?
larger than when they
Normal.
are far from you?
Is this a psychological interview of Richard, or are we talking
Let's go
about the
back to
shape
the
of the earth
earth
here?
and the stuff like that, because it feels like he's
It
going to get
don't matter,
defensive,
tell you what.
and that's just going to go bad quick.
Debating.
He was already honest enough to just give you all that bait,
Yeah,
all that ammo. Don't use it.
I know, my bad, dude. I was going psychology on that, and I just
Yeah, he
stopped.
gave you a lot of ammo, and you don't need to use it. We get it. Remember, that was the first thing I said when I got in. Affirmation bias, those things.
All right, normal psychology talk.
But I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying it's not even the point. A lot of people, you know, globe earthers are in these kind of groups for the same reason, so it really wouldn't make a win to the argument. Affirmation and shit like that.
Can't quite hear you, Grim.
Oh, global.
But I mean, I think part of flat Earth is a psychology thing, though, bro. Come on, it is. It's not about science.
Yeah, but the psychology does not pertain to the truth of the situation.
It doesn't. What makes people believe that the Earth is flat is a psychological thing.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
Of course, what is?
What makes people want to go against everything that science is a psychological thing. And I mean, honestly, we can talk about the science on this 100%. We keep talking about it. The bottom line, though, is there's a psychological aspect to this, which everyone's ignoring.
Not everyone. I've been talking about the psychological aspect of this psyop since it began. Again,
yeah.
It re-emerged again here over the past few years.
Yeah, I mean, it's very hard to place like what it is. It's not schizophrenia, and it's not necessarily
no, it's easy. It's CIA think tank, Tavistock Institute, the Zedek publications, Henry VIII, his mistress, what's her name? Friggin' Lady Blount. Lady Blunt, yeah, no. Maybe, yeah. Pushing that Zedek Society publications. This is all royal, psyops, throwing it out to the public.
Well, everything is
people off their kilter. Yeah, so it's not.
You gotta be careful about how you use the word psyop too, right? Because
well, a psyop is to divide a truth community up in a bunch of different groups where they're all fighting amongst each other and not anymore focused on their particular momentums that they were actually gaining in some subjects, like the fluoride in the tap water and the vaccine debate and the GMOs and the malfeasance within the CDC and all this Freedom of Information Act documents that prove that, there's all this malfeasance in our government between pharmaceutical companies and biotech firms and stuff like that.
Yeah, but you gotta understand, like a psyop.
And everybody gets all separated.
And no one more demographic, which is trying to split up.
See how that washed right over?
In this scenario, bro, it's not like that, right?
It is.
There's a lot of people that don't
people like
fit into
me, right, who have already been out here as truthers, exposing government, exposing
because they don't feel part of society.
No, I get all of that. Trust me. But I'm talking about an actual. Those are the ones who follow the Pied Piper, who are the actual government shills and shit pushing these psyops in the first place. They're not the ones that are just coming up with those ideas all on their own. It's not a natural movement. It's not organic. That's the thing. You just got a bunch of people who are, like you said, in need of desperate attention, basically, to sum it all up in a ball of wax. And they found their new, click my heels and I live, in this community now, because they're like, oh, fuck whatever they said, man. As long as you believe the earth is flat, you're cool with me, Ban those other motherfuckers, you know, ban them. Excuse my French. Sorry about that. You know, see, I don't know. It's not raised. You're not raised the same.
See, fortunately, anybody out there that's interested in actually seeing the truth, they have things available to them, information-wise, that are not part of any psyop. You cannot. The sunrise and sunset, it cannot be a psyop. The equinox cannot be a psyop. The two celestial poles are not a psyop. This is not information that can be hidden or falsified by the government.
You keep throwing back science. They hear about it.
What?
You broke up.
I'm gonna change it. You keep throwing back science.
The connection's weak, dude. Not able to understand.
Yeah, I'm saying I'm just saying you keep throwing back science. Can you hear me?
At the moment,
by throwing back science,
I'll stop that.
You keep talking. Yeah. So the problem is this: the community doesn't want to hear that. The community has already said, "Fuck science."
Okay. Well, I'm not speaking to those.
Right. Last warning. I'm going to start booting people if you keep swearing. Sorry.
I'm sorry, Nathan.
My point is addressed to the people out there that are actually looking for the truth, to understand things that they can know for themselves, that they do not have to trust or rely upon government agencies, NASA, things like that. They don't even have to listen to Einstein or Newton to know that the shape of the Earth is basically a sphere.
Okay, and you've been trying to do this for about a year now.
Maybe longer.
Has anybody listened to you? Has anyone listened to anything you said?
No, the people that turn their back, the people that turn their back on flat Earth and walk away, typically don't announce it. They just disappear. Who knows how many people have been led back to common sense? And it's not going to work with everybody. Some people are hell bent on believing the Earth is flat. It fulfills an emotional need in them, and that's that. No amount of sense, reason, logic is going to be effective with them. I can't help them. I can only help people that are actually looking for the truth, honestly.
Right. Cognitive dissonance and that kind of thing is it's hard to defeat. You can't fix people. We're not psychiatrists, psychologists over here.
Yeah, and Curve, my bad, bro. I could barely hear like stuff you said, and I don't want to get into an argument with you because I think we're on the same level. If you want,
pretty much, yeah, we are.
But I just feel like sometimes there's some things that are just better left unsaid because it's going to.
Give me an example.
A lot of the science stuff, a lot of it, right?
Well, then what should we talk? Man, what should we talk about here? You want to just go strictly psychoanalysis?
I think so.
Okay, this is not the place for that. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nathan. This is not a psychoanalysis session. This is a flat Earth debate. Maybe Stephen Cray would be interested in something like that.
Well, I actually think that the whole flat Earth movement has a lot of psychology behind it.
It does. Sure it does. There's a lot of psychological manipulation going on out there.
There's a reason why these people want. I'm sorry to say these people. That's wrong. There's a reason why this part of society wants to believe this way of life, and it's because of a reason, and it's discovering that reason and talking about that which is going to change it.
Good luck.
I know. It's almost as good luck as just you throwing science to them.
We're on a show called Flat Earth.
You've been doing that for 2 years, bro. You haven't made a change.
You don't know that.
Have you made a change?
Like I was trying to say earlier, a lot of people actually say thank you. You brought me around from I almost got wrapped up in a bunch of shit I didn't notice. Stuff. I didn't notice that, you know, the fake stars videos were actually fake and the guy was hustling me. I didn't notice that. I get a lot of that. Thank you. Oh, I didn't notice. Thanks for the video showing me to that other guy's channel who showed me how to focus my P900 properly so I can actually see Venus the right way as it's intended to be, not those twinkly weird aberrations when they just use the autofocus feature, which doesn't go close enough to the infinity sign. It doesn't focus in on the stars, especially when the exposure is way out of whack. So it's almost as if, you know, and when you tell these guys who make these videos for flat earthers that those videos are fakes, they just leave the videos up showing no integrity, and people still defend those. I mean, there might be some self-inventory that Flat Earth Camp might need to get a hold of if you're trying to be honest, right? If you're really not leave up all the work all up to everybody else, you know, you got to have integrity in your own camps. You know what I mean? You got to police yourselves. Otherwise, how can we even believe you guys are being real? And these arguments are even real in the first place, because you know that there's lies going on and we don't support the truth and tell them, you know, you guys need to stop lying about these, creating all these stars or, you know, somatics and things like that, and trying to steal electric universe theory ideas to superimpose them onto these fake pictures of planets and stars that they're giving you guys. Sad. But yeah, we got to do, you know, I mean, I self-police my own communities. Otherwise, how am I supposed to believe that any one of these flat earth arguments or arguers are for real? You know?
You have a point.
I'm going to do a quick plug while there's a little gap. So we've got about maybe 20 minutes left of this show to run. If you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show while it is live. And if you would like to join the debate, there is a link in the info box below this video. Simply click that link with your watch page muted and you can join the show to express your views on the shape of the Earth. There are only a couple of rules. Please do not swear. If you do, you'll be asked politely to stop. If you continue, you will be ejected. The only other rule is once you have, if you get ejected, if it gets that far, please do not try to rejoin using a different account. Just rejoin on the next show where you will be warmly welcomed. With that, I'll pass you back to the guys in the debate.
I felt like a personal message to me, Nate.
Really bad.
Yeah.
And I'm so sorry if anything I said pissed you off.
He always said that. He made the
Like
exception.
when you
for
said,
you.
I've never seen you look that mad. You look like potentially extremely mad. Are you okay? Like, I'm sorry if I said something wrong. I apologize. I did not mean it to come across that way.
No, I don't see anybody on the panel who's mad. No,
I
he
gotta
was
ask
talking
Nathan
to
a
me.
question real quick.
Nathan was talking directly to me. I'm the one who keep coming back on different accounts if he kicks me off the panel.
He says that every show. He
Well,
says
here's
that
the
every
thing.
show.
While you was talking, I couldn't hear anything you said. I had to
Can you hear
rejoin
me
the
now?
panel. I can, but it keeps cutting out and getting back in.
I think that's your connection, Madman.
Yeah, because I have
We
like
have
this,
trouble hearing you too.
you know, I'm hooked
You robot a
directly
lot.
into the system. I've got an elite
Yeah,
connection.
I can probably get on from my phone. That may be better.
See, I'm jacked directly into my brainstem.
That's cool. That's cool.
I never have a problem. Like I use Google Hangouts for work sometimes. I use it a lot, and I never have this problem. I only ever have it when I'm on this type of chat.
Wow.
Again, I don't think it's no psyop going on. People like hacking into my shit. I hope not.
Oh, good. I thought we were off here. Like, everybody chillaxed for a minute. It was great. I just noticed we're not.
You gotta be kidding, man. It's all one big topic, isn't it? I mean,
I don't know.
So does anybody want to talk about any of the evidence that
Yes.
there is for the globe. That is
Yes, I would love to.
all kinds of things that are much better explained, perfectly explained by the globe, but a flat Earth has to resort to magic, and well, we don't know what that is. Anybody? Richard?
Go on. Yeah. Go for it.
Why don't we just start without him?
What do you do with the two celestial poles as we see them, Richard? How do you handle
What
that?
do I?
They go in opposite directions like tassels.
What do I do with them? Oh,
Yeah, how do you
got
reconcile this with a
Nippolaris
flat
here.
Earth? If you want to believe that the Earth is flat, shouldn't you have a way to explain what we see from?
I don't believe the Earth is flat. I mean, it's totally for me. It's a monumental contradiction that the Earth is flat. But if it is flat, if that is the truth of it, then it's flat.
Oh, okay. That's ooh, wow. What a way
That's
to
a
think.
dad issue.
If it's a globe, it's a globe.
Okay, and what we're talking about is ways to determine the difference.
The problem is you're bombarded with so much information from both sides of the debate, as it were, trying to rationalize that into something. Yeah, the Earth's round, or yes, the Earth is flat. It becomes nigh impossible. So then you just
Not true.
When you say
No,
you, do you mean
too much
yourself?
information.
Are you
can't
like sublimating?
You can, even with all your data and your science, you can't actually say 100% that the Earth is a globe.
I can. I'll say it right now. The Earth is a globe, 100%.
Definitely.
Think about it.
Right, I can prove it too.
Yeah. We're not dealing in belief here, Richard. We're not
I
dealing
can
in
make
belief.
you prove it to yourself too. if you're being
120%. I can prove it so much
Mm-hmm.
that it will be I can even prove it's pear-shaped.
You can
When I
prove
make
it's
my first video,
How about this? Check this out. Imagine, let's get up close and personal for a second.
that's ridiculous. That's just, I can go with
Imagine,
to see
all
that.
right, see what I'm,
But
see
not-
what you're looking at here? All right.
So you
Imagine
from the two poles. Is that what we're doing here?
Yeah, imagine imagine the sun and the moon being on a flat disc, right? Going around and around and around and around like this, right? From your location, the sun and the moon would actually get closer and farther throughout the day to you, right? So, simple physics. Anything that you see, anything that you can see looks larger to you when it's closer and smaller to you the farther it gets away. Okay? So why would you not see any of those things happen all day from the sun and the moon? Why do you only see the moon and the sun remain the same size throughout the day until they set?
wow. Are you a wizard?
That's the simplest thing. No anything required. Everything else in the universe, everything else except for the sun and the moon, gets smaller the further away it gets from you. Now, in the globe model, it never gets any further away. You see, it stays the same.
Well, in the globe model,
the Earth spins. Right, the Earth spins and it stays relatively the same throughout its orbit. It has a apogee too, in a vice versa perigee, right? But still, throughout the day, though, like I said in the earlier experiment, to keep things controlled throughout one day, the distance does not change. So the perception does not change. Just like visually, you see the perception not changing. So does it fit into square A or square B? Is it one for the globe or is that one for the flat?
Don't know.
That's the simplest one. That's the simplest one. Yeah. And that's if you have to get a good grasp of exactly how all the mechanisms of that physics works, so that you can safely say, oh, that could only work on this sphere, especially with the way that
just a quick question, Grim. I mean, it's back to kind of seeing these things actually working as opposed to theorizing them and conceptualizing them in models. Has anybody actually gone out and watched the Earth traveling around the sun, or do we just have to go on models and conceptions?
The Earth travels around the sun and the Earth.
Yeah, but have you seen that? Have you seen that happen? Have you watched that? I mean, I can observe the sun and moon traveling over my head with my own eyes. Have you ever observed the Earth traveling around the sun with your own eyes?
Well, basically, yeah. By
being
able to see the sun and by the background, being able to see the sun and Taurus.
Can you mute new joiner, please? Can you mute?
It travels through the ecliptic, so that we know our perception to it is also traveling as it's traveling through the ecliptic. Because it's not what it is; it's us that moves around it. That's why it seems to travel around that ecliptic. Yeah.
It's your computer.
That's how we know that. It's pretty simple stuff too, but I mean, a lot of people just they haven't familiarized themselves with it yet. That's a crazy echo, though. Fortunately.
Yeah, mute your computer, Madman. That's the one that seems to be giving us the trouble.
So if you can hear us, Madman, just to come off mute, you just need to tap whatever it is, your phone or tablet screen, and it'll bring up a mute button that you can now unmute. But when you first join, you can just cause crazy feedback. It's the same for everyone.
Wow.
That's my opinion.
So, sorry, with all that commotion of Madman rejoining, I didn't really get an answer to my question. So, do we ever get an opportunity to see the Earth travel around the sun?
What are you talking about? From outside of the perception of Earth, or through?
No, I mean the heliocentric model, by its very name, suggests that the Earth travels around the sun, heliocentric, the sun being at the centre. Well, do any of us ever get the opportunity to see that happen?
The Earth traveling,
yes.
The sun traveling around us?
No,
every day we do.
No.
Yeah, I completely appreciate that. I see the sun travelling around us and over my head from my stationary position every day too, but I'm asking the opposite. Do we get to see the Earth travel around the sun? Do we ever get to visually see that with our own eyes, ever?
Yes, we do, but you're misrepresenting the way that we do it. That's what we're saying.
Well, just with my eyes looking at it happen, that's fairly simplistic. I want to know, have you seen it with your eyes?
No, my answer still stands.
That's how we also know that Mercury are closer than us to the sun. You know,
my answer still stands. Every day we do. The precession of the sun shows that.
No, from what we observe, the sun moves above my head. I'm physically not. From my observation, the sun moves over me. I'm not watching the Earth move around the sun. I'm on it. So to get to see that, I would have to leave Earth. Correct?
Okay.
Right. Hold on. Let's just get Madman to concede this. Do you concede that in order to?
No. I'm not going to concede anything. Okay. Here's the deal, right? You will be able to see that, and you can actually understand it. And if you really want to do an experiment, actually show it. What you can do is have somebody in America, somebody in England or Europe, somebody in Asia, and then again somebody. I guess it'll be the east side and then the west side of Asia. And you'd actually be able to see the precession of the sun around the world.
Yeah, you're still not listening. Precession of Earth around the sun. Do you understand? Simple English?
If you do that... Okay, no, hold on. You let me finish, right? If you do that with good enough cameras... you will see that we are moving around the sun. And then if you do that again, three or 4 weeks, or I guess, maybe a few months later, you will see that you would get the same precession, and yet the observations on the sun has dark spots and light spots.
I'll ask a third time because either you're completely ignoring me deliberately or you're just...
Nathan, no, hold on, Nathan.
You've had enough.
My question's simple.
Doing the right argument.
Do we get to see Earth?
I understand the question.
Travel? Well, no, I'm not talking to you, Grim. I understand that you get it. Do we get to see Earth traveling around the sun?
Okay, you're not going to understand my answer, and there's no point me continuing. So let's let...
Well, that's because you keep telling me about the precession of the sun and us watching the sun move around us. So, yeah, I'm not going to accept an answer when I'm asking, do we get to see... If I've got a red ball and a blue ball, and I move the red ball around the blue ball, and you are stood on the blue ball, you see the red ball moving around. Well, I want to see the opposite of that. Therefore, I'd have to stand on the red ball.
Talking to me like I'm a fucking idiot doesn't... I'm sorry. Talking to me like I'm an idiot, and I'm sorry for swearing, doesn't help. I don't think that me continuing to answer your question is going to help either.
So let's answering it though.
Yeah, bye. Don't swear, especially when it's to me.
Oh, my bad. I like the way you did that though, but still,
even with Mad Dogs,
he's gone. Oh, Jesus. Never mind.
Having people in different parts of the world looking at the sun, it's still a point of perspective because throughout the day you see the sun get smaller and then bigger, then smaller again.
Whoa.
None of that's the proper argument.
Stop sign.
When the sun is in a different zodiac sign, you know it's on a different backdrop. You know your perception to the sun is different. Each day you can see it move slightly through the zodiac as it's in that's you rotating around the sun. That's how you can see that. Right, it is. You take a piece of string, you put it on a pencil, move it around, and look at the backdrop. And when your backdrop changes and comes back 360 degrees after 1 year has been completed, and then you parcel it up into 12 zodiac signs 2,500 years ago to make sure that we understood that we were traveling in that direction. So we even knew that the Earth was moving around the sun, and that's why the sun was in all the different zodiac signs throughout the year. 12 months a year, because they split it up by 360 degrees. That's right, 30 degrees. Remember this old story, Jesus was a man of 30 when he started his mini story and he ended it at 33? Well, the sun enters each of the 12 zodiac at 30 degrees and exits at 33 degrees. It's a remarkable story, one that most people are not even really familiar with.
Freemasonry.
Right.
Think about that.
The size of the sun changes throughout the day, and
why is it Freemasonry? Freemasonry takes math.
The sun changes path where it's stationary throughout the day.
What? How does the sun change its path? The globe perfectly explains this. I don't know why you're confused by it.
Yeah, no one said that. See, it's your perception of the path. When the Earth spins around the sun, that's the sun visually. You see the backdrop to the sun in a different... Every night, the sun is a little bit further through the celestial plane that it goes on. That's our zodiac, the 12 northern hemisphere zodiac signs that we see. So from the northern hemisphere, you see what I'm talking about. From the southern hemisphere, there's a different... you're seeing it a little bit differently. Like a lot differently.
And why is he repeating the nonsense about the sun changing size visibly through the day? I mean, you do get a slight change. It's not perceivable by your eye. You'd have to measure it, and it's a very small percentage due to the rotation of the Earth being basically the radius of the Earth closer to the sun between sunset and sunrise. And when it's solar noon, you're a little bit closer. And it makes a very small percentage, less than 1%. It's decimals percentage difference in the apparent size of the sun. But what you're proposing is a bunch of these nonsense videos where people go out, they don't have their exposure set well, they don't use solar filters, you get glare, that shows, that makes the sun appear real big in the image, and then some of them even mess with the exposure or let the auto exposure do it as the sun is setting to give you the false impression that it is shrinking away. Now, if you do it with a solar filter, check the size of the sun at the same zoom level throughout
your
the
exposure
entire
the same level throughout the whole experiment. Do not change the exposure of your camera.
The statement that the sun and the moon change size throughout any given day, other than that tiny little percentage that I mentioned due to the radius of the Earth closer at solar noon than sunrise and sunset, other than that tiny little difference, no. The sun, according to perspective, would have to change by hundreds of percent if it was doing what they say, being roughly 3,000 miles up.
Plus, it would never reach the actual. It wouldn't even reach the horizon anyway.
Yeah, I mean, given the real world distance to the subsolar point at sunrise or sunset, the sun would never be below about 26.5 degrees in the sky. That's simple geometry.
At 3,000 miles, even it wouldn't even be on the map. You wouldn't even have sunlight on the globe if it was 300 miles up.
And like CHL did in the video, I talked about this a long time ago. The sun would have to have like a shape-shifting illumination pattern throughout the year. If you were to try to model the illumination of the sun on a AE, like a Gleason type projection, it's really funky what the illumination pattern would have to do, how it would have to morph throughout the year, what he calls the shape-shifting lampshade.
Yeah,
it's not bizarre, beyond belief.
Not only that, if the moon and the sun were closely located to the ground and they weren't as far away as we suggest that they are in the heliocentric sphere model, then moon phases would be location specific on Earth, meaning on the same day someone in Texas would see a full moon while someone in New York would actually see a quarter moon. If the moon were between Texas and...
Try that once more without me being on mute. Sorry guys. If you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the live show, and if you would like to join the show to do some last minute trolling, there is a link in the info box below this video. Simply click that link with your watch page muted and you can join the show to contest any of the people who are currently on for maybe the next 5 minutes. With that, I'll transition back to the main action. Sorry to interrupt you guys.
Trolling.
Oh boy. Okay.
So you're still entertaining the idea that the Earth might be flat?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, you guys converted me.
I don't know what. I keep saying to you, I don't know what shape it is. I'm not.
I didn't ask you that, to be fair. Did you hear my question? Are you still entertaining the idea that the Earth might be flat?
Oh yes, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, in spite of everything that we've gone over so far. You're choosing to believe that the Earth might be flat, despite the evidence against it.
I'm remaining open-minded about it.
How open-minded is that, to discard all the evidence against it?
It's very friendly. It's a very friendly approach.
The problem is, you can. For me personally, I want to see it, the whole of it. I don't want to have to guess or just work on models or whatever. I want to see it.
I don't want to hear about your sex life. I'm just joking. Of course, I want to hear about your sex life. Tell me all about it.
Whatever. I want to see the Earth, whatever form it's in, and then know what shape it is.
Okay.
Know it, not think it, or be told it, or whatever, but actually just see it and take a picture of it, and then just relay it so everyone can see it.
Okay, that's what you want.
It's done.
Right. So you're not willing to use your brain, reasoning, logic, things like that.
What you mean the left-hand side of my brain?
I don't care which side.
Any side. No, I'm just kidding. I'm being funny. But someone said I'm derailing you. I mean, it's obvious you're already derailed. I mean,
don't read the chat. Don't read
me.
chat. The nuts out there.
Oh, okay. Well, I love this chat. I won't. If Nathan doesn't want me to, I won't.
All right. So in order for you to believe that it's one or the other, or to understand that it is one or the other, you're going to set up an impossible bar to achieve in order for you to, come to a conclusion yourself.
I don't know if it's impossible, but that's what I'd like.
Oh, okay. Well, how you don't think? All right. How are you going to get out to space far enough where you can conclude that?
I'm supposed to believe everything you tell me just because you're saying it.
No, I'm discussing this with you. I'm showing you how unreasonable you are, to be honest with you. And you yourself know. You've already said that at 1,000 miles, you started off with it. You'd see the curvature of the horizon. You'd see that circle of the Earth below you, and then,
in theory, you would. In theory, you're supposed to be out.
But that's not. But that's not to you.
CGI imagery.
But you also said that could be a flat plane. You're just seeing a circle of a flat plane, even though there's space all around it.
Yep.
Even though there's space all around it, it still could be the circle on a flat plane.
And with that, I am going to round out this show here. So a massive, enormous, huge thank you to everybody who joined us in the live audience. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here. And also a massive thank you to all who joined to participate in the live debate. Once again, if you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Be sure to leave a comment once this video has rendered. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.